Alright, Tuesday, February 16th. I'm Luke, aka Dammert. And we about to push this ice giant. So I've been trying to see what is the max overclock I can get on my 3600 with the ice giant. And still be able to run the AIDA64 FPU ADX test. I'm gonna try to do it for 5 minutes. See if I don't crash out or anything. And main thing, to see if this ice giant can cool it, because none of my other coolers have been able to sustain that kind of clock running the 8062 or 8064 ADX256 FPU test. That test is just too brutally hot. It's just it's a monster. This can be hard for everybody to run when you guys run it in the test suite. So let's see what we can do here. If I can figure out my password. There we go. It's the Aorus background, because I have an Aorus graphics card. I did have an Aorus motherboard too when I first got into AM4. So what are we looking at? Just shy of 4.4 gigahertz. Pretty fast. What's that voltage? Ooh, that's high. It's high, but don't cry. So, here we are. AIDA64 again. Got my tabs set up. I'm gonna run unified. Set all that. We got this on 1 to 100 scale, or 0 to 100. So 0 down here. This is 100. This line. Now the green number, which is power, that's gonna go just above. You're gonna see it just barely get off the chart. I know that because I've already failed this test a few times because my system wasn't stable enough, because this chip really doesn't like this high overclock. So I backed it down a notch and then bumped up the base clock a notch, because my chip will actually handle a little bit more F clock than 1900. As you can see, we had 1919. It'll actually even do higher than that before I get the WHEA errors. And that's about the only thing this chip is good at. Anything else, I've had older Ryzens, like the Ryzen A. I had an AF sample, 1600 AF sample, that was very overclockable. I had two other ones that were meh, but I had one that was like super good memory controller and super clock speed, and rivaled this 3600 in a lot of tasks because of the just the way it was. Alright, so I'm gonna start this, see if I can't go for 5 minutes. And this is a test to see if I get up to 95 degrees, which I believe is the cutback point for the 65 watt chips, which this is. And obviously this is over a 50% overclock just based on wattage alone, because I'm sitting here over 100. I can't remember what the base clock speed is of a Ryzen 5 3600. I want to say it might be like 3800 megahertz or something. I don't remember. Probably less than that. It could be 3200, 3400, 3600. I don't know. All I'm concerned about is if this cooler can keep it under 95 for 5 minutes. Provided I don't crash out from unstable reasons, because there's no way my 24/7 overclock can handle this. And I'm actually in uncharted territory as far as running this AIDA AVX test. None of my previous coolers can handle it. They can't even get up to like 4350 before they crash out. I think only my TPC 812 could kind of handle 4350, and that's running the same setup where I run the open bench with no doors on the half XB, with cold air pumping in from either air conditioner or today, because it's so cold, we just open a window. So what we got? 15.2 is our room temperature. 16.1 is where the probe is for the intake. That thermocouple is courtesy of Ice Giant. I will be putting it in the test kit with the other things. That was very nice of them, very thoughtful. So we're at 2 minutes. Looks like after my load line is kicked in, we're looking at 1.456 volts. Pretty high. Wouldn't want to run that all the time. But we can run it for 5 minutes. My wife already said that if I blow this thing up during the testing, that I can have a new toy to replace it. But I probably have to throw in one of my backup toys until I can find a new toy, because I wouldn't want to replace this with 3600. I'd want one of them fancy 5600, but what I really want was put one of the 5800s in here, because I've been playing all 6 cores for a long time. Wouldn't mind having one of them 8 cores. Do some rendering benchmarks. Alright, we got CPU diode now up to 90. CPU also just hit 90. They tend to stay almost the same thing. I'm wondering if what AIDA is calling the CPU diode, if that's the socket temperature, like we used to get back on like the AM3 sockets. There was actually a physical diode under the CPU socket. And the other temperature would be like the theoretical core temperature. I don't know. This, whatever this is, seems a lot more accurate. And you want to see how cold it is, and my rest of my computer temperatures are like 17 degrees. The stuff that's idle right now, look at graphics card, and that's a Vega 56. Yeah, it's cold in this room. I'm not freezing though. I just got a long sleeve shirt on. But it's like not so cold in a lot of the United States. So yeah, here in the South, we're not prepared for this kind of cold. But guess who loves this kind of cold? Oh, I do, because we get to do fun activity, science experiments like this. All right, here's a question. Why is my Disc 5 activity sitting at 100%? I'm going to just pull that thing out. That's one of them old mechanical ones. I'm going to just chuck that in a trash can. Like, really? You got to do that during a stress test? I wonder what it thinks it's doing. Some background process. All right, we hit 5 minutes. I'm going to end this video. I'm going to take my screenshot. As you can see, 90 degrees. And I can go on the statistics tab. Yep, that's the max, 90. So, success. Ice Giant, you cooled it. You cooled my overclock. Good luck to you guys with the high core count chips.